the police and you. Bridging the gap between the police and you.
How would you evaluate the Nigerian police force of yesterday and what we have today?
That is a very good question, but a very serious one and a very delicate one to answer. When you say Nigerian police of yesteryears, I don't know from what point.
So we're looking at the
from my own knowledge,
yes, sir.
If you ask me about the Nigerian police, it starts from the year 1957 when I joined.
Yes, sir.
What I met.
Yes, sir.
To today. So I don't know whether your yesteryears you are talking of 1957.
We're looking at the yesteryears of 1957 because we still had the colonial masters here.
Yes.
And you were also, you went through those processes, you got into the independence, which was 1960. Thereafter, you rose to become the Inspector General of Police. You've gone through all of these experiences. We want to learn from it, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. When I joined the Nigeria Police, it was a very beautiful force. And I'm very, very happy that my housemaster who advised me to join gave me the right advice. It was an enjoyable career if you really sincerely want to do the job. If you don't join the job for any other motive but to protect the society, there's nothing as beautiful than what I met. Our expatriate bosses were very, very good. They were hardworking, they are very honest, they are very loyal to their cause. They walk straight line, they won't bend for anybody. The law is the law, no matter whom you are. They don't have to seek the permission of anybody to investigate a crime or to arrest an offender. And the courses they ran were very thorough. It produced decent policemen, except those who have the criminality in them from the beginning, who fell by the wayside. So the police force then was really beautiful.
If all of this was put in place and the likes of you that were privileged to be part of that system then, was it that you did not pass this thing on to the generation after you?
We did, gradually. You see, it will take a long time if I have to give you the whole history. Saka Bovell started the cadet scheme. Then independence was coming. And I'm quoting what he said. You see, corruption now, which is the bane of this country, was there, but it was so minimal. And it is at the lowest level, so that you can pick him straight away and throw him out. If we had a sergeant is arrested, the whole barrack would be shocked. That a sergeant, this is between constables who have just joined in, and we know this will, they are not going to be fit to be, they are thrown out straight. So Kasa Kabal came, he said, look, one thing he knows, anybody who has been collecting bribe from the lower rank, no matter how much he rises, he will still be collecting bribe. So he started a scheme, say, if we get young educated men who have not been contaminated, we'll make good officers. And that's how the scheme came in. And the first few sets were excellent in that you did your first 6 months training with the recruits. You pass out with them. You pass out as a constable too with them. And if you don't work hard, some of them will beat you in examination. After passing out, then you do what we call the advanced course. Okay. When you finish the advanced course, then they still call you cadet inspector. You wear your badge with a white epaulet, so that the average officer knows, to them then you are not an inspector yet. They attach you to an NCO. Maybe my first boss was a lance corporal. He sits on the head of the table, you sit by the side, he throws file at you, read it, let me see your comment. And you are moved from one department to the other. And on each department they write a report on you. Until you completed that before you begin to think you are an inspector. That's what we went through. And it made us thorough because then you know the behavior of the junior ones. You know how they plan bribe. You know how they collect bribe because you are with them, you are seeing it. You know how they deceive officer. I won't mention the name of this chap who was my boss. I went on traffic patrol, came back, defaulted some drivers. And they said, Oga, please, this one, you leave it. I said, what do you mean? Say, leave it for me. I said, look. He said, Oga, which is the problem? You have entered it in the register. So I cannot wipe it out. So why are you worrying yourself? I just say, leave it for me. Of course, I knew he has collected money. That's what he's saying. Then I was wondering what he will do. Since it is registered, you can't do anything. The next thing, just went to the officer in charge, a white man. Came by and said, God, I tell you, I know when to go to him. The man didn't just write warning notice. So then I laughed. I said, So when they bring you a file, you don't rush. Look at it properly. He knows what to tell. I say, okay, you told me to warn this man. Whereas the white man never said anything like that. So you see, that's the way we pass through. Then you are confirmed, you become an officer, and you must go to UK. You go to Wakefield, a detective training school, Wakefield. You go there and spend 9 months. Thorough training. It is when you come back, as you start thinking whether you can be considered to be a real officer. I was lucky. I got my officer when I was on course. So you go for other courses, seminars. I ended up at the Staff College, Scotland. So those are the training in those days. You know, to move to social place, you must have this exercise, this training. But gradually, after independence, we maintained this thing. I'll be honest, up till I went on my last course in 1964. I went to Staff College in 64. The standard was still very good. Up till the late 60s, excellent. But things started falling apart with the first coup. Policemen started copying what is not police tradition. Police started wanting to be put on patrol with soldiers. And during the Civil War, it's not easy to say you want to punish a soldier, you are fighting a war. So this thing started gradually. Then the Nigerian syndrome came in, which is very bad today.
What is the syndrome, sir?
The syndrome is we know the right thing, but we do the wrong thing because of pressure. Promotion, they go warring senior important people. Help me speak to IG, help me speak to the commissioner. They disturbed me even too. And I used to lose my, I said, look, if you are good, you will be picked. In our own time, nobody begged for us. My parents didn't even know how I joined the force. He didn't know all about all my promotion. It is your work. So this syndrome came in. The same syndrome came in when police officers commit offense. Instead of awarding the appropriate punishment, pressure comes, they say, leaving, you know, is related to so man has talked. You see, when that sets in, decay starts. And that's why the standard started falling. Then there was that complicates issues. The educational standard. What I knew in standard 2, you may feel I'm just talking. A graduate doesn't know it now.
Absolutely right, sir.
No. I'm saying this. Anybody who says no, let him come. And I'll tell him the amount of knowledge you have at that level in those days, compared with, look, those girls you see in my office are all graduates. Some of them can speak English. If they want to join the police now, they want to be officer. And you see, people take police force as a job that anybody can do. No. You must have the trait for it, the liking for it. If I will use the Yoruba word now, Iruwo Giriwa is what we are gathering. Anything goes. Anything goes. So standards started falling. The CID course you will attend, there has only been course. The refresher schools to refresh you. An AIG was passing here yesterday. He came to pay me respect. And the mobile policeman came. I was talking with the AIG, and he knew. Sir, and I said, look, my friend, can't you have no sense? Are you a policeman, really? Then the AIG said, this is our problem today. A constable can enter your office. In those days, he'll be shivering. The discipline. So all this decay affected the force. But the worst, as I told you, the decay started when the military incursion came in. Is you have a force now. I was telling you of laying kids. What kids has he to lay? What kids has he to lay? I met a policeman when an inspector, they are doing road checks. And from far off, I suspected they collected money. He stood for that and I said, Inspector, those constables, search them, I want to see. I know they've thrown away the money. Say, nothing, sir. I say, fine. Then I look at him. You mean you have no soap to wash your uniform? Don't you see you are very dirty? Who will respect you the way you are? So that's what you see now. If you see some of them, you will even, but for the uniform, you will not accept they are policemen. You see them walking sluggishly. In our own days, you walk sluggishly, that's an offense. If a senior NCO sees you, say, see how a policeman is walking. You must walk erect, smart. Now policemen don't salute anymore. No. They just, the whole thing, so if you say we are comparing, that's the comparison. But you see, you cannot blame the people there now. You can see their handicaps. How many vehicles have they? You see, when I'm talking, I don't like mentioning, otherwise it's not fair. An area commander rang me the other day. Sir, so. I said, yes. I said, but I don't think you are patrolling. He says, sir, we have no fuel. Because I know he's a very active man, but I say, what is wrong with you these days? You are not as active as before. He said, I have no fuel, sir. So I didn't want to go further what I told him. Yes. So that is the comparison. So the men at the helm now have more load to carry because those below are not assisting them. See, they have more load to carry. As a result, now they combine what should not be their job with their job because the lower man is not functioning. So that's the difference.
One wonder with this experience, with all these things that you know, what you people do to assist these young ones, because you train them. A lot of these IGs that I've spoken to have enormous regards for you. They call you their father because of the wealth of experience you have and you do pass to them. One would have expected that these anomalies that have been noticed could have been corrected by you retired IGs.
I've always told all the officers after me that once a policeman forever. The fortunes and the misfortune of the police reflects on me too. So that's why I always struggle that we have a good police force. Because that is what my constituency, that is where I belong to. And I can tell you, and the honest one will tell you, I never miss a time in pointing out what should be done, what should be corrected. But you see, sometimes you tell the IG, he's not in a position to do what you asked him to do. He may be willing to do it, but it can be difficult to him. So nearly all the IGs who came after me immediately took over. I write my advices, commencing from Ata. Say, look, you have worked with me. You know how I do so. Please don't change. Do the same thing. Do your best. Kumasi grew under, Ata grew under me complete. He was my inspector when I was ASP Kano. He was my OC Interpol when I was in the CID. So it's not a question of we know. I said, just a kid. I used to tell him, Ata, work. If you don't work, I know they'll promote you, but you'll suffer when you go up. You won't be able to carry the load. Kumasi, oh, forget. I was taking him around anywhere. Even when I became IG, I used to say, come back, come and be my staff officer. So the knowledge, and I used to tell them, say, look, when you are with me, this is how we did this. This is what I'm hearing. What are you people doing to correct it? And they do correct many things. But the one they can't correct, they speak to me confidentially. They say, Oga, we know how you feel, but this is our constraint. Like the present IG, that's a fantastic man. Very fantastic. Willing to work. But definitely you can see he has a focus. If given everything, he will perform. I spoke to him, I think, 10 days ago. I said, my boy, carry on like that. The job is difficult because you have a huge population now. We are just delivering children. The children go to school, have baked, they come out, no job. So crime is the easiest thing they fall to. You find most of these crimes are committed by your young, between the age of 20 to 30. No more. All the robbers you catch nowadays. One happened here the other day. They raped 4 girls, and I knew straight away they are students. So this is the problem confronting the police, this massive explosion of population, and the police did not expand the same way. And now trying to expand, it hasn't got the right material. So most of those they recruit are even criminals as far as I'm concerned. I don't know whether they fingerprint them anymore even. I hope we are fingerprinting all those coming to the force. Some just come in to use the uniform to commit crime. So we have this association, we have 2 associations. We have Association of Retired IGs, and we have Association of Retired Police Officers. No matter your rank, you can be a member of the association. And I happen to be the president of the retired the officers. The IG zone is by seniority. Whoever is the most senior IG. But you see, this association is very active. So we are advising. We are doing everything. And I'm telling you sincerely, Tafa is very appreciative. When the military are there ruling, when election is coming, it's not because they don't want violence then. Because the man sitting on the seat is going. So he too is not interested. Who comes, who takes over from him? Even if he's interested, not in the violent way. He can only do, okay, maybe this man. The problem starts in your country when the civilian comes in. And in the past, the civilians were better. So this is why I say, if we want to speak, we speak the truth. The civilians of First Republic were angels. Yes, they were angels. The Balewa government, the government in every state of Nigeria, I mean region were angels. Have you ever heard any of them being for corruption? Yes. I remember one by the way built that small house in Jora Causeway, which Niger Pools or whatever rented. Oh, a big cry, hey, where did him by the way get money? And I like him by the way. And I say, what is the noise? This is a fly house. When people are building elephant houses, we here build fly house. Is it not correct today? I see some houses, all the wings. I have a friend say he calls them cocaine house. Some people build houses that you wonder whether he alone can live inside. So those were very good, the best civilian regime we had. And I'm saying it authoritatively to you. 83 is a very good civilian regime. There was party discipline. What is happening now? I'm saying, today they are impeaching president, tomorrow this is this. Because there was party discipline. And then the whole Nigeria thought Joseph Wire is something. It was after the coup. But I know many of them. To eat by Joseph Wire became a trouble. Yes. When he came back from his something, a friend dashed him a car. He had no car. He has no house. And what was over there and in there is only 5,000 senators. So those days they have party discipline. And party discipline is this. They've met a day before the house. They've taken their decision on any motion going to the house. Chairman of the party is there, everybody is there. Even the president will just be an onlooker because the chairman is the head at that meeting. Once they take their decision, they call the whip. This is tomorrow, everybody will fall in line. This is how we are voting. They get there, they They might be very, and they always call him a fool. Not an intelligent man. When he raises the motion, he'll first ask the opposition to speak. UPN? They say, no, we oppose this motion. NPP, brother, PRP, he'll give them second round. They say, all right, you speak in favor of the motion. Then when they speak, say, well, since all of you don't agree, we'll put it to vote. They have agreed what they will do. So they vote, they win. The business goes. But nowadays, you don't even know which party anybody belongs to. You don't know which party. When they are doing all this, there's something, I don't know which party. Because I ask myself, if the people so much majority, why are they having problem in ruling? So that is part of the indiscipline which was not there in years gone by. Now you see the long period of military. And everything I always see in this country, every day, the first coup, as far as I'm concerned, I say, as long as these military boys don't get themselves involved in corruption, then Nigeria will be a very good country. But by the time they left, you know more than I do, even though you are young, the level of corruption. But when this civilian came, they say, oh, you military, you don't know how to take. We'll teach you what is. Yes, what is anybody hiding about corruption in Nigeria? It's open. It's a secret. You go Europe, they talk about you anywhere. I'm sure as I'm talking now, you find Nigeria, that's what they are discussing. So everybody see election now as the sole job, the only job where you can make money. Every other job is abandoned. I picked a paper yesterday. I don't know whether the paper is exaggerating. It says 3,000 something want to contest to National Assembly. How many members do you need? About 360. So which means for every seat, you have about 360 men to contest. So the violence coming, may God help us. This is the truth. The other day, they held a Koenig Day. People beating themselves, chasing themselves about. What for? Look, you want to rule me. It's just like marriage. You can't marry a wife by force. But you see the danger in Nigeria, the poverty level. The people are so wretched now that they are eager to get this money from these people. No decent man will sell his right.
Would we say is poverty or ignorance? Because we've been talking about poverty. There are people who, to some extent, can feed themselves. Farmers can feed themselves.
They cannot. You are not a farmer. You are in Lagos. They cannot. What's the whole and they are old. Do you see any young man in the farm? They are old people. They can hardly walk. So when you have if he gets a 15 naira alone, he's grateful to God. At least he will eat for that day. The poverty level is appalling. It's appalling. And you see, so that's why I don't meet with the press. There are certain things you say in this country. It is the truth, but you will offend so many people. You are young. I don't know at what level you met government in Nigeria. Every succeeding government is worse than the previous one. If you say no, tell me the one that is better than the previous one. We told you the British were very good. When they left a lot of money, which they save from our produce. Cocoa, rubber, granite, palm oil. And that's why the West got more money. It had more expensive crop then. And that's what they were using. They have no any other magic. It's that money the British gave us. Say, look, we've been saving this money for you. Which money have we saved since we started? No, tell me. So the British went. These people came, they are not as good as the British. But they are not to be compared with what we have now. The military came. The civilian they overthrew are better than them. Then the second coming of the military. So the last they came, I think they stayed for how many years? 9 years or how many years? It was there. Your currency devalued. 1 pound, which was equivalent to 1 pound. 1 naira, which is equivalent to 1 pound. What is it today? Because you see, you are demanding things. You have no resources to pay for it. And that's why if you want them cars, the British will take their money. I haven't got the hard currency. So it was about, so the price, the Naira price will go because maybe government can only afford the price of 2. So it will be the highest bidder. Local government alone, there is nowhere. You see it about 10 people vying for chairmanship. And you see, that's why I say, I sit here, we see everything, no story. A chairman local government wants to say, excuse me, sir. He was quarreling with the chairman of the party, local. This is why I'm being chased about. They want to be sharing the little revenue. So the next election, let us pray to God. Even the primaries, don't go to the election, yeah, the primary. I'm reading a paper today. I hope it is not true. The paper is outside. Where they are giving evidence in the court, this electoral law which they went to court for, that this signed signature was fake. All right, if that is true, which means you throw away the electoral law, you have to start a new one again.
All over again.
All over. How long will it take you?
So what is the way out of all these problems, sir?
Well, if I say the way out, I know. People will say, go and pick that man up. You see, this system of government is alien to the black. It's alien to our level. You see, it's very dangerous to jump into something in the middle. The white men that practiced democracy started from the scratch, and it took a long time. The kings were powerful, or the emperor, or the dictator were powerful, they keep you in line, you behave. But then, they are not possessive. They are not looking for wealth. He just wants to make a name that when I was there, I ruled very well. He wanted to be remembered in history, somebody who did very well in his time. I think we need to fashion a constitution that will bring in a benevolent. If I say it, I know, people will start attacking me. You can't go on with an indisciplined society. There's no discipline now. There's no discipline. How do you grow without discipline? When they say Nigeria make progress, I say you make progress when you have started a foundation. Where is the foundation? If you tell me, what foundation have we laid now to build on? We work today, we live today. Tomorrow, God help us. The white man has a program for 25 years in advance. Next government will go on with the program because it's a good program. I remember when Margaret Thatcher came in, she went for a file. She asked the PAM, said, look, I'm looking for so file. Because she was a junior minister then, she initiated the policy. She wants to know what happened. And she found that the policy was followed by successive government. Because the policy was right. So when the new minister can say, why are you doing this? You mean it, say, look, read the thing. This is what this woman wants to achieve. Go ahead, it's good. We have no policy, we have nothing. Just jumping from. So, ideally, I told some military officers before they left. I said, look, what is ideal for Nigeria is what is happening in Egypt. You have Mubarak there as the president. He's not interested in property. He doesn't want anything. He just wants Egypt to grow, and Egypt is growing. There are worse problems than us before. They are desert.
Yes, sir.
They have House of Assembly. They let them go there and make noise. When they finish their noise, I know what is good for Egypt. The law they pass, I don't want to say no. But whoever will do that, like Caesar's wife, he too must be above board. You don't think of this world again. And look at Nyerere. Fantastic man. Even though his policy on socialism may not work as you want. But till today he's remembered. I remember when he was leaving, everybody brought gifts to the teacher. They call him teacher. He looked at them and said, look, why would I? You know my house. It's a 2-bedroom bungalow. Why do I put all these things you brought? I had 3, you know, he wears this French suit.
French suit, yes, sir.
He said, I have only 3. The reason why I have 3 is I must wash 1. So look at Mandela. 27 years in prison. He came. Honestly, when he came, I thought all the whites are in trouble. I'm not fighting against anybody. I just want a just society, whether you are white or you are black. When picking his ministers, the blacks were always, look, you cannot handle the economy now. This is the white man who knows about it. Finance, this is the white man who knows. You go and be information. If we want South Africa to grow, we must put the right man in the right place. You can't have a system where you are wasting those who can help because they cannot join in the rubbish race. I thought after an election, whoever is the head will sit down, look, you voted me. Thank you, Mr. My party. You've helped me to be president. And would you let me do a successful job? And you begin to pick. Even you may pick your opponent because he knows the job. When the railway was to collapse in Britain, it was conservative government.
Yeah.
They called a labor man and said, look, you know about railway. Come and bail us out. He was even laying his terms. So if you want me to raid, you pay me more than Mr. Prime Minister. They say we'll pay you. And the railway was back. So you can't run a system say everybody is a political appointee. Every fool, because he ran during the campaign, qualifies him to hold a post. It won't work.
Thank you very much, sir. This is the last question, sir. Yes. When we spoke to the CP, who is your son, he says, we're trying to compare the crime in Kwara State Command.
Yes.
We tried to compare the crime then, if there was, and what obtains now.
Yes.
Vis-a-vis the kind of political situations that we have in Kwara State now. And we'd like you to comment on that.
Thank God. I remember the late Dara, may he rest in peace. Yes. I think he was the 3rd commissioner after me. So he came to Lagos one day. We used to have what you call commissioners conference. The IG, DIG, IGs, and all the commissioners. Then when it's a time, he raised his hand. Say, excuse me, sir. I'm tired of this quarrel. Everybody is Adewusi. Since Adewusi left. So I burst into laugh. I said, what do I do about it? I said, what do I do about it? That is what obtained when I was there. You could leave your car outside, nothing will happen to it. You can leave your door unopened. It got to a stage, the BBC thought we were a separate police force. So a driver, when he gets to Jeba, saying, be careful, you are going to that man's territory. He has no room for nonsense. Well, to them, Nigerians, you are a wicked man.
That was where there was this name that was coined for you.
Yes.
Ago.
I'll tell you that. So you get your te coming from the south. You say, Shekwara Londo, Sorao, Babato Ambe is a genuine. Because you see, the community supported the job one was doing. So information was flowing in. I'll sit down like this 11 and say, oh God, some 2 people have entered the town. They look strange. And they are busy there in Soso Hotel drinking. Yes. I remember one day the governor came and said, look, how do you have any magic? I said, no magic. You work with the public. But you see, the system has broken down. We are all criminals now. Who is ready to assist the police? This young man is a very good officer. And I like him. He's straight. In that respect, I used to call him my son. I told the IGP, I said, you have an officer here. One day I challenged him, say, why don't you do so? He said, oh God, that's not what you taught us. That is not what you taught us. You taught us to go. You see, that question, if I tell you certain things he did, it will not be good. Which even the head of state commended. It was on television that if all commissioners are behaving like this, there will be peace in this country. One day we were discussing, Oga, your time, you are lucky. All the equipments are there. All the allowances are there. The houses are not leaking. So everybody was trying to work harder than the other to be seen. That is no more there. And the only best solution is what you thought was part of the solution. Don't let violence break out. If you let it break out, you may not be able to control it. You may not be able to control it. So, with the political situation, with a man like him, I don't have any fear. But some of them lack the will to face problem. I used to tell every policeman that those of us who cannot face the infirmities that cripple friendship and relationship because of impartial justice are not worthy of our oath. I was telling you outside there now of a permanent secretary who said what Lugard said. We were classmates from youth and I jailed his cousin. Yes, those are the period. And they were still friends. Even he mentioned the other day, if it is now, we will never talk again. He said, but that's how we are brought up. We didn't send the cousin to commit offense. So that is lacking now. Before the police on telephone, hey, why did this? Hey, so. It's unbelievable. So the boys now, honestly, I pity them. They have to contend with the criminals outside and the criminal within the force. And which is the more dangerous one, the enemy within. He'll be laughing with you, you will think you have a good officer. And it's a real danger. Collusion, everything. So this young man are doing very well. And he has one thing to his credit. Since he came, the crime had gone down. It has gone down. And when the members of the public begin to talk, that an officer, this man, no, just interested in his job, nothing more. So something happened. They say, this is the very commissioner we are saying is good. Broad daylight, they snatch a can, kill the policeman at the roadblock. He wasn't in. So the day he came to see me, I said, Commissioner, look, what happened? When he told me this story, I just pitied. I said, you see, the public don't know this. Say, all he needed, the boys needed that day, is a radio communication. When they snatched the car, a policeman knew they were chasing, but they cannot communicate to the roadblock. So when they got to the roadblock, the boy thought he was stopping ordinary car. Wow. So you see, those are all the handicaps, which we don't have in our own time. You will commit offense now, Kaduna has known. Say, watch it. So it's coming. Yeah, so if he goes on like that, just doing his job, don't get yourself either way. Just go straight. Because as I like him, we were discussing one day, he said, look, leave some of these commissioners. When they tilt here, the day things will change, they will be before an inquiry. That day they will be miserable. And that's why I used to say proudly, when they say, they will probe 1983 election. I was just in my house. When a lawyer can say, okay, you know, they just, I say, let them probe now. We'll see. So they went round, I think they first started here, Ondo. They were boxing themselves, we had the same people. The same, boxing themselves at the inquiry. The same thing in Ibadan. One even told such a big lie in Ibadan that I dismissed somebody. So the judge, Ababala came, they called him. I think they just used there something, say, look, you just jailed this lawyer for nothing. So by the time they got to the third state, so one man came to me and said, look, what is all this noise about this 1983? We were in Port Harcourt, we were in Owerri, we were in Enugu. So the north, even some people didn't turn up. So where did it happen then? See, I know even in our presence they fought in Ondo. So he said, the lawyer told me, they told me, no, we are waiting. The day the IG himself will come will be the day. And I came, we finished, he said, then he lost it. He said, these people can waste people's time, you know. He said, look at all this. He said, don't wonder when I said, look, don't disturb me, go away, Joe. Are you going to lie on me? If you lie, luckily everything I do is documented. If I send a letter to A, it must go around all the commands. If you make a mistake or I'm advising you, that advice goes round. So that it becomes an order to you too. You don't say you don't know. So anything you find in a file in Enugu, you file it in Ilorin. Because it must go around everybody. And we sat down, drew the election plan together. Just sit down, tell us.
That was one reason you were also referred to as kill and go.
Kill and
I
go.
grew up to hear that word.
Yes, kill and go. Yes, you know. You then have a body of men, the mobile police. We brought it from Malaysia.
Yeah.
They're a very dynamic body of men. You see, Malaysia had a worse problem than our own. They have to contend with the communists, guerrillas. And they want to run the parliamentary government, the democracy. So you need a body that can cope with the violence offered. You see, the policeman reaction is according to the violence offered. In the UK in those days, all they will do to you, throw tomatoes at you. They was eggs. So why do you hit anybody who throws you that to laugh and play? But when they start shooting, they have to start shooting. So the mobile police came to quell this riot quickly. I'm in love with them, I tell you, and they love me too. I brought them to the very high standard. I remember one head of state went to Goza. I said, And then I said, this man wants to take over government. The training these boys are having. Because if you can do Goza training, then you are a man. Train them when riot comes. You see, ideally, this is a part of the decay. I'm glad you raise it. The mobile should not stay in town. Yes, how could you keep mobile police in town? A mobile police, a rabid dog under chain. You know a rabid dog? A mad dog?
Yeah, dog.
Under chain. Once you lose this chain, it's coming to bite you. So we keep them far away from the town. There are women, we give them lorries twice a week to go and buy food and so on. That's all. So when they get in, you call them, you just give way. They do their job. When they finish, they go. The local police will be doing the arrest. So we call them, quench the riot and go. And you Nigeria turned it to kill and go. So that's how kill and go came about.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Crime fighters, the police and you, working towards a peaceful society for all. Crime fighters, promoting security consciousness.